Welcome to Amsterdam, capital city of the Netherlands. What better way to experience this compact and very international city than from the unique perspective of its waterways? There certainly are a lot of them. This city has over 100 kilometers of canal. Amsterdam is known for being friendly, open-minded, and progressive. It's a popular place to visit and do business. Just think, in a population of only 800,000 people,
Storms was a place where sailors gathered before setting out to sea. The journeys were long and difficult, and not everyone returned. Legend has it that the women who loved them also came here to say goodbye, perhaps forever.
To the harbor, the Oceans became a convenient place to unload cargo.
That weird little bird. See that? Just went underwater. I was one of them that go underwater and disappeared. Just in a little like kitchen dining room.
Nice.
Quite big, isn't it? Everything is two different ones. That's a long boat, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're about to pass through one of the city's old locks. The small, tippy black building was once the lockmaster's house. It's now a pub and cafe full of 17th century charm, stone floors, wooden benches, and exposed seating rooms. Its outdoor patio is a great place for watching boats on the canal.
Okay, we will go through the Anthony's Lock, and if you look up to the left, my left of course, second house from the corner with the red window shutters, that is Rembrandt's house.
Oh.
It's a museum today, Rembrandt Museum, and this is the actual house our most famous painter, Rembrandt van Rijn, lived and worked for more than 15 years.
Gone past it now. Would you say it with the left
Yeah.
shutter?
On the right there is an old tower, was part of the old city wall around the city center until late 1500s. Then they started the city expansion by digging 3 new main canals and a new outer defense canal. and we also named the canal after the emperor, and that is of course the Emperor's Canal, second of the three new main canals. Then coming up in front of us, there is the most famous and iconic bridge of Amsterdam, and we call it the Skinny Bridge, the narrow bridge. And that's because the first one, this is number 3, but the first one was only 1 meter wide. So in front of us, the Skinny Bridge.
The Magere Brug, otherwise referred to as the famous Skinny Bridge, stretches all the way across the Amstel River. Of Amsterdam's 1,500 or so bridges, this is the most famous. It dates back to the 17th century and was likely a narrow footbridge. Since then, it's been reconstructed more than once and grown wider with age. Legend has it that whoever you kiss while passing under the bridge will be your true love for life.
Yes, we will pass the bridge, so this is a great opportunity. Or disappointment. Is there anyone aboard who does not want to pass the bridge? I can still turn around. Sorry, now it's too late.
I like how just like they're all the same but different. That makes sense. Like different type of bricks or coloring. You know? And look at that one there. Different windows. Like different from the rest of them. And the heights are different as well. If you know, if you want to
Too far away.
There we go.
You know, you just drop your drink on it, isn't it?
I kick you afterwards. Like, how is that one supposed to move anyway? You know? How's that supposed to get anyway? What's the thing on the side? Like, it looks like a big paddle. So you get like people that paddle in it?
We are now going through the Amstel locks. Until the 1870s, these locks were used to protect the city from tidewaters and flooding. Now, thanks to the big sea locks around the city, the canals are no longer affected by the tides. We used them until 2010 to create artificial currents that clean the water. Today, our waterways are so clear you could swim in them, but please don't.
Keep an eye out for the Royal Theatre Carré, a stately 4-story building with a curved roof line facing the Amstel. It was commissioned by circus master and businessman Oscar Carré. Originally used as a circus theater, today it hosts everything from theater and dance to concerts and variety shows.
It's a weird bird, isn't it? He's like, what are you doing looking at me? I'm trying to dry myself.
3,750 to 6,000 euros a night. This was the first building in Amsterdam with electric power when it was built in 1868.
Okay, in the left and the right there is a canal, We call it Singelgracht. And that was the border of the city and the defense canal around the city center between 1600 and 1900. So the rest of the city was built after 1900, more or less. If you go to the right, you will end up by the Rijksmuseum, Leidseplein. They were on the outside of the city center. And here, if you look back to the tower, city center, the tower was in city center. This is also the size of the city expansion, which they started late 1500s. That's all the way around. They started in the west, all the way around up until the east. Amstel Hotel, on the right, is also the first 5-star hotel in Amsterdam, late 1800s. And yeah, the first 5-star hotel in Amsterdam, late 1800s. And it was built in the same period as the Central Station and the Rijksmuseum. They were all part of a city.
Oh yeah, you can tell it's the same
They
style
built
building.
it this far out of the city center to give the guests more privacy. Because it was already less crowded on the outside of the city center, late 1800s. So it was more private to build it here on Amsterdam. Still today one of the most prestigious hotels in the city center. The bridge in front of us, which we are going to pass now, is a nice example of protective city site. This bridge, 12 years ago, was completely rebuilt in the old style. They wanted to do a renovation. They found out the foundation was bad, so they had to do a complete rebuild, foundation up. They had to do it in the old style because of protective city site. So we have a brand new bridge, look like an old one. That's because of protective city site.
They said like 2012 or something like that.
Amstel blocks in front of us, they were built in 1672. And since then, they were able to control the water level on the inside of the city. 1672. Amsterdam is surrounded by 16 old locks, most of them on the seaside. This one is on the riverside. And yeah, since 1672 they were able to control the water level on the inside of the city. So from Amstel River, in a few moments we will go into the Gentleman's Canal. And Amsterdam thanks its name to this river Amstel. 800 years ago the first people started settling here. They built a dam, the first settlers, in the river Amstel. And they start calling the settlement Amsterdam. And later that becomes Amsterdam. So from Amstel River into the Gentleman's Canal, and that's the main of the 3 new canals, which are part of the canal belt. And you can see a illuminated artwork in front of the bridge, through the bridge, and that artwork is part of the Amsterdam Light Festival. It is a tour through the city, and on that tour you can see 23 artworks, which are all illuminated. And this is one of them. Amsterdam Light Festival is every year, December and January. from 5 in the afternoon till 10 in the evening. It's a 1 hour, 15-minute tour. And you will pass 23 light works.
Yeah, the what?
In a couple of days.
Oh, child.
On the right, after the bridge, there is a gable decoration, and it represents St. Michael, the dragon killer. Michael killing the dragon standing on the head of an elephant. On the right, Michael, the dragon killer. On the left, entrance to the Waldorf Astoria, 5-star hotel, one of the most exclusive hotels in the city. One room in this hotel will cost you around €700 a night, and no breakfast. And that's for a cheap room, because they have rooms 5,000–6,000 euros.
That's the one that we saw the front of it. That was a
Yeah.
big building with a W.
Yeah.
No, box is ready for you.
And all these old bow bridges are from the 16 and 1700s.
Did you get a picture?
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you see all 7?
Yeah, so too.
Who sends it to me?
While nobles ruled elsewhere in Europe, here in Amsterdam, it was the self-made merchants. During the 17th century, they were earning as much as €700,000 a month. That's more than the average rich person earns today. The wealthiest of the wealthy lived here, on the Herrengracht.
Today, almost all of these mansions are used for business, as people can no longer afford to live in them. An exception is the city's mayor, whose official residence is at number 502 Herrengracht. Look for the great facade with white columns just before the bridge.
There it is.
The golden age of the 17th century was a stellar time for Amsterdam. From politics and the economy to arts and science, everything flourished. And the city was now the most important trade center in Europe. There are many reasons for Amsterdam's astounding success. It had the largest and most...
Okay, we continue in a moment. Look here to the left, to the first floor, the house, still in its original condition. And look how beautiful it is decorated on the inside. Nice, huh?
Yeah.
Completely original.
Wow.
Almost the same as my living room. Almost.
Look at the ceilings. Can you see the deco on them? You see that in there?
Yeah, the chandeliers.
Progressive shipbuilding industry in Europe. Dutch traders sailed farther than anyone else to newly discovered lands in the Far East and to North and South America. They organized into companies like the Dutch East Indian Company and the Dutch West Indian Company. And the profits from trading staples like grain and exotics such as spices, porcelain, precious stones, and textiles were enormous.
Now let's slip back in time to the 17th century. Imagine a colorful scene. Gentlemen in fine clothing on the street, speaking different languages. Elegantly outfitted ladies stepping down into horse-pulled carriages. The clatter of wheels on cobblestones. And dare we mention it, an unpleasant waft of sewage coming from the canal.
Building restrictions limited houses to a width of no more than 6 meters, or 18 feet. But those who could afford got around this by buying 2 adjacent lots and building a double house. Some of these double homes even had 2 different facades. There was no restriction on depth, and with 20 to 40 rooms, a large private garden, and a coach house behind that, mansions often stretched all the way over to the next street.
We're now at the so-called Golden Bend of the Herengracht, the most lavish section of all. Imagine going into one of these sumptuous homes. On the first floor, an elegant entrance hall with marble floors, high ceilings, and chandeliers. Mirrors were strategically positioned to create an illusion of even more space. And single-lot houses would often have a fake door on the side of the entryway to make them appear bigger than they were.
Rooms were richly decorated with painted wallpaper, oil paintings, fine sculptures, and exotics such as Turkish rugs and Persian silks. In the second half of the 17th century, Parisian furniture, Louis XVI style, was very much in vogue.
As a gentleman, you might join your host in a deep-colored smoking room. A lady, your hostess would receive you in a light blue salon or tea room. Here, you'd sip imported tea from China while looking out over a beautifully manicured garden. Musical concerts and grand parties were common, and each house had many rooms dedicated to entertaining. For a first-hand glimpse of life inside an opulent canal house, there are 2 wonderful museums in the area, the Hilving in Lopenhaus and the Village Holthausen.
Oh, I would have liked to have gone to that. We walked down here before.
There's that many.
There's the Hugo box. And you said you get that coat to go with your shoes.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. We did like a super dry jacket for like €300.
Was it? Which one?
You saw this one, there's one on the other side. Like
Oh yeah.
different colour.
(1722), and that means the year of build. On the left, house with a beautiful entrance, museum of the canals, het grachtenhuis. We call our canals grachten. There you can experience how they did it. The city and canal expansion, which started late 1500s. Nice small museum. Building on the left, built with sandstone, beautiful decorated.
That's nice.
And also this one, look inside, first floor, how beautiful it is decorated.
Yeah.
Completely original. And this was the first house in Amsterdam with electricity in 1903.
Oh. Look at that big thing at the door. Oh yeah. I want to be sat on the better side. I want to be sat on the side we're on the side.
Yeah.
Usually we're on the opposite side.
Oh yeah, we got what you got all
As
this
we
time.
pass by
Yeah.
these richly decorated canal houses, there's so much to notice. So many flourishes and details. Ornate
Yeah,
door
that's
cases,
lovely, isn't it?
sculptures,
This Christmas
and
tree.
of course, the decorative gables at the roofline.
There are several different
I'd love to
types
live
of
in one of
gables,
these.
and over the
When we win the
decades,
lottery,
they've
can we
gone
buy
in
one
and
of
out
these as
that
well?
gable. See if you can spot them all. The oldest type is the spout gable.
Just a
This
small one like
basic
this would do
triangular
me.
shape is seen only on warehouses. The 17th century step gable looks just as you'd expect,
I like the
a
red
series
one.
of steps.
That's
The neck gable, with its straight up and down sides and scrollwork
Ooh,
decoration,
this one's nice with the
came
brick.
a bit later,
The thin one with the
followed by
brick.
the bell gable,
With the gold.
which has a more
No,
rounded,
this one.
bell-like shape.
The thin
By
one.
the 18th century, the cornice
Reminds
of
me of
flat
like a
top
Lego
gable
house.
was most popular.
Yeah.
There's one thing that all gables have in common: the hoisting beams. Staircases were so narrow and steep that furniture and goods were lifted to the upper floors via the hoisting beams, along with a good strong rope,
That's why I have
a
a
hook,
voice.
and a pulley.
Yeah.
Goods were generally
Oh, yeah,
lowered up
on the
high
top.
to keep them dry during the city's frequent floods. There's a strong tradition of moving things this way, as even newly constructed houses have narrow stairways and are still equipped with hoisting beams.
Until the 18th century, house numbers didn't exist in Amsterdam. Instead, people relied on gable stones. These carved and sometimes colorfully painted stones were set into a house's facade, often above the door. Pictures made reference to the occupant's religion, profession, or their family crest. For example, a butcher might have a picture of a lamb, a dentist might have a tooth, a miller a windmill. Illiteracy was high, but such symbols were easy to understand.
As we ride along the canals, keep an eye out for gable stones. There are more than 650 throughout the city. As you find them, you can challenge yourself by guessing what they might mean.
You may have noticed that most of the city's houses are made of brick. That's because bricks could be made locally. They were very porous compared to bricks of today, and had to be oiled, tarred, or painted to protect them against the weather. You'll only see stone on the facades of the wealthiest of homes, because it had to be imported, costing much more than brick.
For the shoppers among us, to the west or left of here is a unique shopping district called Negen Straatjes, or 9 Little Streets. Each street is a block long and full of quirky boutiques and specialty shops. It's a relaxing and fun place to explore.
We should have come on this first. Then we would have known all the things.
Sailors who came to Amsterdam would wander around on the Zeedijk looking to blow off some steam. It was no wonder they had an incredibly tough life, riddled with poor diets and scurvy, diseases including typhus, storms, pirate raids, and boatjackers. Only 1 out of 3 survived a journey.
For those who did make it back to land, they only had 6 weeks on safe soil before having to head back out on another year-long journey across the sea. This earned them the nickname, Gentlemen of 6 Weeks. So legend has it that when sailors came to it, they wanted to make the most of it. Ladies called matchmakers came out onto the dike to meet them and offer a night of romance. To keep their lanterns from being confused with the white lights in the harbor, they wrapped them in red cloth. There was an added advantage to this. Beauty is enhanced under a sovereign.
isn't nearly as tough as it once was. Still, parts of this age-old tradition persist. For example, you can still find red lights in this area, although the cloth-wrapped lanterns have been replaced with fluorescent red bulbs fixed in the windows.